And Mr. Speaker, this is a very important motion. And before I make my contribution, I really want to thank the people of Laikipia for electing me for the 4th time. They elected me for 15 consecutive years, 3 terms uninterrupted, and now they have also given me another opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate you for also being elected to the seat of the Speaker and your deputy. I know that this House is in safe hands. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that we have a record since 90s being in this House. We have enough experience. I also have the opportunity to have served as minister in the previous government, and also to serve at the having Department of Special Programs under my ministry. And therefore, this is an area that I am knowledgeable in it. And Mr. Speaker, it is one of the areas that need to be taken seriously by this House. And I hope that it's not going to end by us discussing this motion today. Mr. Speaker, the issue of drought is not only affecting this country, it is a worldwide phenomenon. Mr. Speaker, climate change is real and has really affected the rise of many people in the world. High cost of living being experienced everywhere, not only because of the crude prices, Mr. Speaker. You can see the cost of the essential commodities very high. Very few families can now be able to feed their families. The cost of food, very high. People have no money, and a lot of our youth are jobless. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we debate today, it is important to note that climate change is real. If we are able to observe the drought cycle in this country, you look at what was happening in the 70s and the 80s. Drought used to occur between 8 and 10 years. In the 80s, late 80s and 90s, the cycle changed from 8 to 10 years, and it was between 4 and 5 years. What is happening today is that the cycle has now come down to 2 to 3 years. It is really worrying. There are a number of interventions that have been put into place. However, we don't have any particular policy that have been highlighted that can be able to be carried in unison to ensure that at least we can predict on what to do this year or next year. Measures taken, for example, Mr. Speaker, we have policy documents that are in place, like aiding drought emergency strategy. This strategy was meant, Mr. Speaker, and is already in place to ensure that key development activities supposed to be undertaken, both short-term and long-term, are in place. Mr. Speaker, we have the ASO policy program also in place and being revised today. We have also National Disaster Risk Management Bill and policy already at cabinet level. We don't know when it will be able to land in this House. We have resilience program framework, not finalized and signed, and it indicates clearly key activities that are supposed to be implemented to build resilience. Mr. Speaker, there are priorities that must be taken into place. For example, when there is drought, the issue of peace and security is threatened. We have cattle rustlers coming into place, raiding each other, a lot of deaths being caused, and this is what is happening in this country today, a lot of insecurity. Insecurity not only in terms of human to human, but also human-wildlife conflict in those areas that we border our forests, ranchers, and we are really being threatened. Even the little that we could have harvested during harvest periods is harvested by wild animals, elephants, manes, all over the country. And therefore, this is an issue that requires to be put into place, prioritization on how we tackle drought to ensure that we have security in this country. Education and opportunities for our youth is also very important because, again, those young people, and especially those coming from our ASO counties, do not have the opportunity to get proper education. And therefore, affirmative action must be put into place to ensure, for example, if there are schools, we must have low-cost boarding primary schools to ensure that kids are kept in school. And also institutions that are there strengthened, and strengthening in terms also on how to deal with issues to deal with the drought situation in the country. We have, Mr. Speaker, issues to do with women empowerment are also very important, and also the issue to do with institutional strengthening. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to issues of institutional strengthening, again, there must be clarification of roles that are carried out and responsibilities between the national government and the county government. We are to ensure that there is a borderline. When should the national government intervene, and when should the county government be able to intervene? And this, Mr. Speaker, must be very clear, because today, if you leave this activity to the county government, which are supposed to be the front line, which are supposed to be able to take their responsibility seriously, most of them cannot be able to rise to the occasion. Mr. Speaker, there is also the issue of enhanced governance and accountability. Right now, distribution of relief food is ongoing to those counties that have been privileged so far, because most of us, our counties, have not yet been able to receive any relief food. But again, how do we account not only for the funds, but also distribution of relief food? Monitoring and evaluation, not only in terms of relief distribution, but in any other government department. This is one of the departments that must be strengthened in this country. Why would you wait, Mr. Speaker, year in, year out, for the Auditor General to come and pinpoint the issues in the ministries? What happened 5-10 years ago? Because at the end of the day, the report of from the Auditor General Office, you had in this House 3 or 5 years when the issues happened. It is important that we strengthen monitoring and evaluation, make sure that those departments are strengthened so that we can be able to cure any ill any time that starts occurring. There is also policies that needs to be harmonized, Mr. Speaker, and finalized. You can see that we have so many of these policies that are running. If we can be able to harmonize them, know which one comes into place when, then, Mr. Speaker, we shall be able to say that this country is moving in the right direction. Mr. Speaker, some of the programs that have been set into place are through a drought emergency strategy. They had prioritized on areas, priorities, which dams should be built where should we do water harvesting, which measures should be taken to ensure that the farming communities and the pastoralist communities are living in harmony to support each other. All these strategies are in place. But, Mr. Speaker, instead of us looking at what is very important, we have put our priorities upside down. We have the Big Four agenda, Mr. Speaker. If today we are able to address the question agriculture in this country, which can be able to support other activities, because, Mr. Speaker, when a country is well fed, you know health is not curative, but preventive. And, Mr. Speaker, if we can put enough funds, and I'm happy that the President addressed himself to this issue that is going to support agriculture. And when you speak of agriculture, Mr. Speaker, it is not only about seed, it's about fishing, it's about livestock. All this is encompassed there. Mr. Speaker, lastly, is that the issue of emergency food is so important. People are dying, Mr. Speaker, almost dying. You go to schools, our people are fainting in classroom, enrollment has gone down, and therefore we are calling upon the government to issue food and immediately to our schools, whereby we shall be able to support our people to be able to go through education system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support.
Thank you. To second.
To second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that the House do not adjourn. We have plenty of time. Each member will speak. So if you hold your horses, there shouldn't be unnecessary conversing. Each one of you will have time. Farah Yakub Fafi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Indeed, I'm humbled that you gave me this chance